Toronto Maple Leafs fall in a game that a lot of Leafs fans are going to want to forget is following a loss earlier in the night from both the Panthers and the Lightning. The Leafs finally have a chance against a bottom five team in the NHL to take the lead in the Atlantic Division. They get off to a 2-0 lead and then a 3-0 lead that was called off. An absolutely abysmal display, horrible game, and really, really bad. Horrible performance. I'm not going to sugarcoat it tonight. It looked awful, and that's the way that this Leaf team is. But welcome in, everybody. It's a rough one, and it's a classic Leafs loss.
Yeah. Classic losing to a team that's worse than you. You kind of maybe smelt it in the water, and I'm like, you know what? If you think you're a good team, it should be a scheduled win. So definitely wasn't that, and they just fell asleep. It's funny, like this was the reverse of what we seen the last month, where it's like they actually did start on time this time, and everything looked like it was going well. And obviously that called back goal that would have been nice for Lawton to get us first, but you're like, okay, we're rolling, we're heading into the second, and then they just fell asleep and never woke up again. Like it was just absolutely brutal. And what's up, Jose and Daniel? Thank you for tuning in. Noticed you, new viewer here, so thank you, Daniel. But and I assume with that last name, you're also Portuguese, so we got nice
I think he's
Portuguese
been around. I
representation.
think he's been around a little
In
bit.
I only noticed him like the last couple of games. So either way, anyway, yeah, classically Leafs loss here, and I just, sometimes when they lose like this, I just don't know if they want it enough. That's the thing for me. And I don't want to be too negative on this one because again, they just won three in a row, right? Like it's been going pretty well. But sometimes I have to wonder, like, do you want it? I just don't know if they hate to lose.
Yeah, I mean, it was really bad. Let's dive into the box score a little bit here, and of course the lineups coming in. I mean, Lawton almost had his first goal from a Carlos shot. It is just there's not much even to take away from this game. Joseph Wall was a little shaky. Should have had a couple of them, but it wasn't really his fault. Morgan Riley, it was probably the worst Jake McCabe game of the year. He had a
Not
disastrous
great.
game. I mean, Mitch Marner was by far the best player on the ice. I think he was really good. He was the only one who seemed like he cared, which is, funny enough, a pretty rough penalty. A really bad and dumb penalty, actually, by Matthew Nyes to end the first period. Definitely interference, and definitely a horrific time to get interference at the last second of the period, which led to a goal. Turnover after turnover. David Kampf as well. I mean, it was just no redeeming qualities to this game. No redeeming qualities. If there is, it's that I guess the Panthers lost and the Lightning lost, but this would have been the perfect chance to get first in the Atlantic and really. I mean, it's the Predators were not very good at all. Like they're just not a good team, and the
Not a
Leafs
good team.
somehow managed to be worse tonight, and they got dominated in the second and third period. I'm not going to blame Wall. There was definitely one goal he should have had. It was one of the 2-on-1s. Really bad goal
Mhm.
let in. But other than that, I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, I'm not gonna blame Wolf for this one. Goalies let in stinkers sometimes, like one or two here and there, and he did that tonight, but some of them I wouldn't really put the blame like the whole game on him necessarily. The team's got to step up in moments like that, and you got to recognize like there's no way that they're scoreboard watching before this game started. Like they're getting ready for the game, so they would have had no idea that Florida lost. Maybe if somebody told them, but they weren't looking for it themselves. That Florida lost and Tampa also lost heading into this game. But the fact that that did happen, even if you didn't know what was happening in the other games, like how do you come out with a performance like this against this team? This team, Nashville, is not a good team this year. Like despite all the signings they made in the offseason, I even said that they won the offseason and all this stuff, like they're not a good team. And like they cannot score and they put five up on you. They notoriously this season, even players on the team have said, we cannot score, we are terrible, and they put five up on you. Like it's just a situation that we're in that I think everyone's so upset. Like you have to win games like this. It's so unacceptable at this point.
Yeah, very bad game. At the end of the day, I'm not too like whether they get first in the Atlantic or not. Schedule loss against the Flyers on Tuesday. Yeah, it seems
Could
like
end
it
up
at
that
this
way. Yeah.
point with the way that everything's going. It's just I don't know. These are the games that really deflate. They're very deflating. But at the same time, they won three of the last four, and it was a very good stretch of games against very good teams. And they're tied for the Atlantic Division. And realistically, none of us are going to talk about this game past tonight. It's not going to be a big conversation going into tomorrow, I don't think. I mean, it's a horrible loss, but I mean, the Nashville Predators, I guess, did what they had to do, but it was more so mistakes by the Leafs. And you're up 2-0. It's happened before. It happened against the San Jose Sharks as well, where they were up a little bit and then they lost. Like games you have to win, you unfortunately lost, but it is what it is. What's up, Profit? I, yeah, I don't know. It was You have to win. It just stings because they could have got first in the Atlantic, which would have been a very good spot going forward. You would have been in a very, very favorable spot, and now you're in a less favorable spot. It's also disheartening to see the Leafs give up a 2-0 lead against one of the worst teams in the NHL, and then you have the Canadians on the other side coming back from 4-1 against one of the best teams in the NHL now in overtime. So
Yeah.
devastating loss, but at the same time, we do move. We do move on. And tomorrow will be a new day. This game, like in the grand scheme of things, it actually does matter quite a bit. But hopefully,
Well,
when it's all said and done, the Leafs will still get first in the Atlantic.
well, looking at silver linings, Tampa did lose, Florida did lose, right? So we didn't gain any ground, but I don't think we lost any ground either. So it's okay. It's okay, but obviously, grab these points when you can. Like this should have been a scheduled win. This is not a good team. If you really locked in here in this game, you would have had 2 points. Like it's unacceptable when they drop points to teams like this. But the other thing you mentioned it too that I wanted to bring up too is Montreal right now in overtime against Colorado. They came back from 4-1. It's just that do you want it thing. How bad do you want it, right? Like the Leafs have an opportunity here to pick up 2 points. Do you want the 2 points or not? They didn't want the 2 points. And I feel like a lot of that is going on around the league, honestly, with some of the wildcard teams. But the Leafs got to lock in on these games. Even the Flyers coming up Tuesday. If you lose that game, that is unbelievable. Like I don't want to put that in into the universe right now, but you got to lock in on Tuesday. Get that win on Tuesday, especially heading to the West Coast. You got to do that.
I just looked over for a second and to that Canadiens Avalanche game, and wow. I also want to say, it has nothing to do with the loss. I cannot stand NHL referees. I've learned it. I can't stand them. I'm gonna leave it there.
Yeah, they're.
You know what the problem is? I learned what the problem was. The amount of oh man, I'm gonna have a rant about the referees. The amount of arbitrary calls that they make. Like there's so many penalties that happen during the game, and when they blow a whistle, it's completely random, and it just gets unbelievably frustrating. Not why the Leafs lost. The Leafs deserve to win this game completely. It's not even the refs' fault, but like holy, like the amount of interference. Even tonight, there was 2. Drives me nuts.
NHL officials do not officiate the game. They manage the game. Yeah. There's no actual officiating. They never call the game as it is. It has never happened, and it will never happen.
And Matthew Knies was absolutely interference.
Sure.
There was also one on, I forget who it was.
Should have been called. Absolutely.
And I don't even know if that Max Domi, not that it matters, shouldn't have been a penalty. I'm pretty sure he tipped it, but Berube didn't have time to figure it out.
Right. And what was the other play? Carlo. I think it was McCarron in front of the net. He's punching Carlo maybe 5 or 6 times. No penalty. Realistically, logically speaking, that should be a penalty, of course, for roughing, but it's not. But Carlo is laughing because he knows if I punch you back right now, I'm going to get the penalty. And that's just the way it works, right? It's dumb. It's always been that way. It always will be that way.
Play by the rules. I think, right?
Learn to play by the rules.
Prophet said it was Robo. Yeah.
Yeah. Robertson.
It's crazy. It's not the reason the Leafs are losing games necessarily, but it just makes it frustrating. It might be the worst thing. It might not. NBA refs are pretty bad as well. I think it's worse when it comes to just like even I feel like every Leafs game, the announcers are saying they're letting a lot go tonight.
Yeah, there is a lot of that, but you also got to play above that. I wonder if the refs. There must be something to this, by the way, because the refs can literally control the games. If they look at the Leafs and go, a lot of these guys like to whine and complain. Yeah, so we're going to give them a tough ride tonight, right? So I do wonder if there's a little bit to that.
Let's also try to get to 20 likes. Hit the 50 of us in here. Hit the like button if you're proud of it. But yeah, I agree. I mean, I just wanted to. Not why they lost. And I don't want to. If you're watching,
not why they lost, but
if you're watching the VOD of this or the video, not why they lost. The Leafs played terrible, but I hate them.
Yeah, they're, very inconsistent. If you look at it from a logical point of view.
Yeah, it just doesn't. Yeah. It's very weird. No, these players in the show.
You never know. Don't say that. Never know. A couple made an appearance last time. So
Riley's been rough. Riley's been bad as well.
I'm not sure what Riley does on any of the goals.
It's bad.
Yeah. It's gotten to a point that is like so earlier this season, we're like, what happened to Benoit? Does everyone remember that? Yeah, what the heck happened to Benoit?
Pretty bad game from Carlo, too, tonight.
Yeah. But, he's been playing fine overall. But we were like, what happened to Benoit? And they were like, you know what? He had a kid, so he's not sleeping. That whole thing, that makes sense. That happened to Tavares a couple of years ago. Could make some sense. Then people are saying that about Riley right now. Benoit's figured it out. He's been playing fine. I thought he had a decent game tonight as well. and the last little while. Like he's figured it out. He's playing well again. So what is going on with Morgan Riley?
I'm getting the impact chart here. My number one, I guessed it earlier.
You were correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh, you got it already. Nice.
Some of them are. One of them specifically is shocking to me, considering how well he's been playing this season. But no real good coverage on
the
any of the
bottom
goals.
3 are about the ones I would have expected. Minus, I mean, I'm gonna throw him up right now. I think Chris Tanev had a horrible game, but a lot of the problems though weren't really his turnovers. He was caught in two on one. So
McCabe had a tough game.
McCabe was awful.
Well.
Carlo wasn't good either. Very rare bad game for Carlo. Misreads all over the place.
Yeah, not
correct, Nick. Yep.
Not a great night for like defense in general. I mean, Benoit and OEL, when your third pairing is your best pairing, you probably have a problem that night. And they've been playing. Honestly, I think this is the thing. If you look logically at the Leafs defense pairings, what they were running with tonight should work.
Yeah.
Like on paper should be the best pairings. But now we have 2, I think, sample sizes here, 2 games. So not a huge sample size, but you have 2 games worth of it does not work. Yeah, especially against Nashville.
Yeah, frustrating.
So what are they going to do? Riley and OEL again? Like what? Maybe it's Benoit and Carlo.
Bad game for Carlo. Bad game for McCabe. Bad game for Tanev. Bad game from Lawton. Though, like, I don't think Lawton played well. He had one blown coverage, but like, I don't know. I hate nitpicking him every game. He had a really good tip. It was just too high.
Yeah.
Actually,
David Camp out there doing cardio.
Yeah, Camp was bad. I mean, he was also one of the reasons Paul Bissonnette called him out.
He did do that, actually, yeah.
I mean, everyone was just mid. Mitch Marner was not mid. He was fantastic.
He had a good game. It shows for it, too, here on the Impact Score chart, too.
And
Tavares, I thought, the last little while, honestly, has been very noticeable to me. Like, in terms of work ethic. Not even, like, obviously scoring. Which, by the way, having a better season this year than last year. So he's progressing.
Habs just killed a penalty against the Avalanche in overtime, by the way. So I don't know what that game is just.
How bad do you want it? That's what I keep saying.
It's frustrating watching
want
this
it or
compared
not.
to what. And I don't even think the Habs are a great team. I think they're just playing with heart.
Right.
Overrated.
But that's the thing. That's the whole thing about sport in general. If you have heart, you're probably gonna win majority of the time, right? Heart and work ethic beats skill every time, and this team doesn't understand that still. I think.
I do think they're gonna think they're gonna be good in the playoffs, though. I don't know why, but I just have a feeling they're gonna be fine.
Listen, when you say that, it does make sense. Like sometimes we got to calm down and realize like they're probably going to lock in game 1 of the playoffs versus a random Saturday night game against Nashville in Nashville.
The problem is I think playing Ottawa is significantly better than playing Tampa, probably.
I think the opposite, actually. Well, I think they would wipe the floor with Tampa. I'm not going to lie. But
like, I don't think there's a world now where, I mean, there is definitely a world. The Tampa Bay loss tonight is much more important to me than the Florida loss, because the only way that the Leafs get screwed is if they fall into, I mean, you really don't want to fall into third. Or you don't want Tampa to even get into second, because then they have a chance to get into first, which means that then they could be Leafs Florida with Florida home ice if they're. So standings wise, they're fine, and they play Florida. I'm more worried about. I mean, Florida's the team I'm worried about. You have to go through them anyway, though. But I think
not right away though.
I think there is something to. Let's see one go through. Let's see a series go through. And we're talking less than a month now, right? So
yeah, less than a month at this point. It would
April
start probably.
Or something?
I think the Leafs' first game would be a month from like today. It would be whatever Saturday a month from now. So
frustrating.
Pretty crazy. But I would assume that they would lock in game 1 of the playoffs, right? You would hope, but.
Not used to these regular season games down the stretch really mattering, but like they're extremely frustrating.
But it does. I just don't know why they don't see that, right? There's only maybe a handful of guys that you're like, you can see that urgency in their play, honestly, and I think that's troubling considering where you are in the standings in this point of the season, heading into the playoffs.
All right, let's get Jim in here. I'm gonna crash out. Oh, Jim, 1 second. As soon as I got you in here, Robert comes in with the 5. Robert, it's like they get up 2 to 3 goals and think they can sit back because they're not playing a playoff team, and when they realize it's too late. Yep, I mean, you're right on the money. I don't know why they keep blowing leads against horrible teams. It could have been 3-0, which makes things even worse. But Robert, as per usual, welcome back to the stream, and thank you for the 5. Jim, I'm just gonna let you take the floor.
Gentlemen, how are you doing tonight? I was a little late to the stream tonight, so excuse my ignorance and the fact that I'm not sure how much you guys have covered. But since we tend to kind of be on the same page with things, I'm imagining you guys have already covered the fact that we had an opportunity to obviously secure first in the Atlantic tonight, and I don't want to say in true Leaf fashion because I'm doing my best to kind of give these guys a new sheet to deal with and not hold them accountable for the sins of past Leaf teams. But nights like tonight, it does kind of feel like very leafy, if you know what I mean, guys. Does that make sense?
Yep.
Yeah. But guys, here's some stuff. So the tonight's game, not great. I'll be honest. I watched about halfway through the third, and then I was in the middle of having dinner with some colleagues. So I just said, I just said to hell with it, and at that point I kind of figured out how this game was going to go. But so I didn't see the last portion of the third, but apparently I didn't miss much other than I think an empty net goal on against us. But guys, here's what I'm going to say: that I'm not mad about tonight. It's funny is that when you look at some of the games the Leafs have dropped. Not so much recently, but over the course of the year, I think, this is totally me speculating. I have no insight into this at all. But anytime the Leafs make it into a big, kind of entertaining city, we'll call it, they tend to not play well the next day. So I'm guessing perhaps, maybe, the boys had quite a night out last night in Smashville. And is my guess. I don't know that for sure. But either way, they looked and most of the guys on the ice performed tonight like they were out drinking the night before. But not everyone, guys. And I do have some positives. So let's go over some of those. You guys touched on JT. Even on a night where the Leafs don't play at their best, and JT, he looks absolutely amazing. And and they kind of touched that during the broadcast, guys. But for a guy that lost lost the captaincy today, or this year rather, or at least and very humbly accepted the fact that it was going to be taken off. He hasn't missed a step. In fact, I think statistically he's on par or even doing better than last year. But
better, yeah.
Points wise, for sure, guys. But what I want to say is I think it's his work ethic, and tonight was a great example of that. Even in the loss, every shift, this guy is playing like it's already the playoffs, and I think some of his teammates could benefit from doing the same. Thoughts?
Well, your first point there about, having a night out, I would assume that they did not go back to Toronto after New York and they went straight to Nashville. I assume that's what happened. Right. And if anyone remembers when they were in Vegas, and I didn't even finish watching that game. I didn't even watch past the second period of that game. The same thing happened there. So I feel like we can connect some dots there. But in terms of JT, he is having statistically a better year than last year already. So he's not regressing at all. He's still a great player, and we know that. Still one of the best faceoff guys in the league. You want him taking faceoffs over every single player on this team when it comes to, a big draw late in a game, whether it's playoffs or regular season. So he's been fantastic. He leads by example. He always really has. I don't think he's the most vocal person, as we've seen, at least in the media and stuff, but I feel like he does lead by example in ways like tonight. And I really noticed him late in the third too, when the goalie was pulled. The puck's getting dumped in a couple of times. He's the first one in on it. Nobody's with him, right? But he's in there. Yeah. He's in there trying to get that puck, right? But where's everyone else? Are you trying to tie the game or not? So I've really enjoyed his play. At times this season, it's been, you don't really notice him, but the last 2 weeks or so, he's everywhere. I can't help but notice him. So he's been fantastic. And I feel like if he carries that to the playoffs, he'll find success. I just hope that the rest of the team follows.
Well, and it's interesting just to kind of dovetail onto what you just said there too, is in terms of his play, and I'm not going to get too nitty gritty about it, but you talked about late in the third, when they're bumping the puck in, and he's in that scenario, he's the F1, so to speak, and so he's going in as F1. He shouldn't be. The winger should be the F1 every single time, right? So, anyways, that's regrettable, but it speaks to the fact that maybe some of the guys are not treating this with the same intensity that others are. But yeah, I mean, JT, I think deserves all the flowers in the world. And I hope that next year we're able to re-sign him for something team friendly, but at the same time respectful to him because I think he's earned it.
Yeah.
Nick, do you have anything else before I move on, buddy?
No, you're good. You got it today. I'm frustrated
awesome.
talking about this game.
Okay, well, I'm not, so I'll keep going
That's
then.
all
So,
you.
so guys, here's another positive for tonight. Okay, so like the whole year, I've crapped all over this team for one of their major things that could potentially be their Achilles heel in the playoffs, and that is their power play. Well, what in the hell are we watching? Because I'm not seeing anything that much different other than net front presence, Matthew Knies in front, and obviously like giving goalies fits with his huge frame sitting in front of them, and all they can see is the CCM on the back of his pants. But other than that, though, it looks ridiculous. Not only is it effective, guys, like it is ridiculously. It looks like almost easy at times, right? I think it was the second power play they had. They had some struggles, but they're even on that one. Early on, they got a quick shot away, and Matthew Knies just couldn't get his puck or his stick on the puck to put it in like an empty side to on the lower glove because it was like the goalie was just scrambling. So, and before that, I think it was a face-off draw and just bang like top corner JT. I can't remember, but anyways, power play in the last 10 games is in the top 15-20% of the league, which is unreal, right? Considering on where we got. So I'm just wondering, guys, like Darius, have you noticed anything that I've missed that they're doing differently, or do you think finally it's just clicking? What am I missing here, buddy?
One thing to me, the puck is getting to the net because if you watch their power plays, because I went to that game against San Jose. And they were still struggling at that point, except for they did score a power play goal in that game, and it was because Austin Matthews, put it in front of Matthew Knies and he tapped it in. So the puck is getting to the net right now, and I noticed it again right away tonight. The first power play, Marner put it to the net, and before it's just ring around the rosy, the perimeter, passing it.
I think Darius, I think you muted there.
Oh, I can't hear anything Darius is saying.
I can't hear Darius either, so I'm going to cannot hear you.
Take over, Nick,
I'll take over. I'll take over on the power play here. It's I'm also going to text Darius. It was the first one was good. They're getting to the net. The second and third one, this is hilarious. I don't think Darius knows we can't hear him.
How about I can go another point here, Nick. Yeah, you want to let him know that we can't hear him?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. So, guys, I was just saying it was the last.
Am I back?
Can you?
Yeah, you're back.
You are back, Darius. Yeah,
what happened? I literally touched nothing. I was just talking, and then you're like, "Where did I cut out? Where did I cut out? I don't even know what happened there."
Yeah. You've been out for about 60 seconds or so. I felt like I was watching some sort of colorized version of a silent film for a bit. But anyway, so we were talking about the power play. You're talking, and you specifically, I think you cut out just as you were saying about getting pucks to the net, and then we didn't hear much after that.
No, it's getting pucks to the net. That's all it was. I noticed, throughout this season when it's been struggling, it's been ring around the rosy, around the perimeter. They like to, pass the puck around the perimeter. They throw it through the middle to Nylander, where it's a low percentage play. And I know technology can be weird sometimes, but no, it's these pucks across the crease, not even across the crease, across the ice, low percentage play. It goes to Nylander. He takes that one timer off the glass and it's gone down the zone. Then power play one can't even enter the zone. They have to start in the zone because they cannot get a zone entry. They're terrible at that as well. But lately, even tonight, I noticed right away, like Marner's putting the puck to the net. They're just putting the puck to the net, put the puck to the net, and then create chaos. That's what you need to do. Every other team does that. Or they have set plays, but if it's not working, just put the puck to the net. You have more guys than they do on the ice. It's going to work out, right? So that's what I've been seeing. Just the puck is going to the net more than passing it around, looking for the perfect shot. It goes high and wide off the glass, and then you're out of the zone. The other thing I noticed tonight, power play 2 has a different zone entry than 1, which I thought was weird, which is dump the puck in.
I missed that. So I'm sorry, Darius, to interrupt. I missed that. What is that?
So power play one, they'll carry it in. They'll drop it back. They do like the ladder play, whatever they call it now, I guess, to
Right. Yeah.
Matthews
Yeah.
or Marner. They'll carry it in, and then right at the line, they'll chip it across, which they do the same play every time, and every team has video
Yeah.
on it. I have no idea how they haven't switched that up yet, but they'll chip it to, I guess, Tavares on the wall, whatever. They'll gain entry, and then they'll set it up. Power play two is give the puck to Domi, and he dumps it in, and then go chase it like it's 2004, right? Like old school.
Right.
I say
Right.
old school, sorry, but
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
like just dump it in and go chase it, right? I noticed that tonight as well because power play two never plays, and they got it, I think maybe 45 seconds tonight, like a
Yeah.
healthy amount of time on one of the power plays, and they just dumped it in twice and went after it and chased it and they set up, and I was like, wow, how refreshing. This is what I thought I used to watch. So
Yeah.
the power they can't even gain entry power play one. It's been a problem. So but that's the one noticeable thing to me. They're just putting the puck to the net, and you have Nyes and Tavares in front, who are two of the Tavares at least one of the best net front presence in the league.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, and they're definitely like statistically, like again, I haven't really looked at it, guys, but just from the eye test, I've been using that so much, Nick, ever since I heard you say that, the eye test. I've used it in my personal and professional life. Love the eye test. Anyway,
Yes.
but the eye test on the power play, definitely passing that for sure. And I'm glad to hear that statistically it kind of backs up what I think I'm seeing, because it looks like if I was watching their power play as a defensive group trying to defend it, it would put fear into me, because they look confident, and it doesn't take them very long, and they need very little opportunity in order to really capitalize on any sort of even small chance that they're given, right? Guys, I have a question for you. This is completely unrelated to anything to do with the game here. Darius, you asked me a question the other night, which I really liked, and I have a follow-up for that. Before I get to that, I have a question for both of you guys. What is your favorite Toronto Maple Leafs playoff moment?
Playoff moment.
Let me answer that first. Absolutely none of them.
None of them. Okay. Yep. Nick. I'm guessing you're a little bit on the. You're a little sour.
No, I was actually about to say, Jim. I was actually about to say halfway through your conversation, you've kind of turned me on tonight's game a little bit. I'm feeling a bit more positive about it. But I will say, sitting in my watching it on the television, I was pretty fired up. I was pretty fired up about it. But yeah, I'll let Darius answer his playoff moment. I have one that comes to my mind, but it's very recent. I try to eliminate the other
Leaf
ones.
moment doesn't have to be playoff, guys. I said playoffs just because mine are all about the playoffs, but give me any Leaf moment that means something significant to either one of you.
So the Leafs, I'm a little bit younger, and the Leafs didn't make the playoffs for about 10 years in a row there for a minute.
Fair enough.
So as I was growing up playing hockey, it was kind of like the Leafs aren't in the playoffs. There's nothing to watch after April. So two that stand out to me specifically, and it's gonna be weird. And I don't look at the last couple years too fondly, I guess, for good reason, right? But obviously that first year in 2017 against the Caps, I thought that was pretty cool. But in terms of my favorite moments, there's one, looking back, I think that like Sundin's goal against Carolina in Game 6 was insane.
Yeah.
It was just like a moment where it's like, we won't die, right? Like you thought you were going to win and we will not die. And that's just kind of like, I feel like a fan base can get behind that. And the other one is going to sound weird, but again, I'm a little bit younger. Kessel scored in Game 6 against the Bruins to make it 2-0, and I just remember being like, "We're gonna beat them." I can't believe this.
Jim, you gifted 5.
Oh, thank you, Jim.
You're welcome.
I'm gonna interrupt you, Darius. I'm interrupting you, Darius. Daniel was gifted a membership. Shout out to Daniel, very active in the chat. Daniel, Alex, Triangle, Paul, and Turbo. Jim, thank you very, very much for that.
You're welcome.
You're welcome. Pulled up. All right. Thank you, Jim. Darius, continue your. Go ahead, Jim.
No, I was just gonna say, on nights like tonight, guys, I just think it's important to even to support the community a little bit more, because at the end of the day, people love this channel. They obviously love the Leafs, but sometimes I get it. Sometimes it's hard to talk about the thing you love when it hurts you, because I was married for a long time. I get how that works. But anyways, continue, Darius.
Yeah, it was just one that stands out for me always will be, because again, I'm younger. I wish I could say, I was around for Gilmore's goal and stuff like that, but it was Kessel's goal. It was 2-0, and you're like, they're not going to give up a goal here. They're going to go to Game 7. They're going to win it. They're coming back. Obviously, we know how that ended, which was not great. But no, that moment in itself, I was just like, it was Kessel who scored against the Bruins, and we're going to go to Game 7. Like, I thought that was just insane, and I was in high school at the time, so I was like, this is the
Yeah,
best thing
I,
ever.
I remember that one clearly. And it's funny as I'm just looking at the chat, guys. There's some people in here that are probably more around my age too that are bringing back some
Mhm.
absolute vintage
Poppin' hot
memories for me.
X-Stall, yeah.
But so my I'll just I can just share mine quickly, guys. I'm sure.
Absolutely.
Then I'll yeah. So I mentioned it the other day. Now both my sons, I have two boys. They both listen when they can. Anyways, they happened to listen the other night, and so they called me the next morning, and they're like, "Are you kidding me? That's your favorite memory?" And they reminded me of one that should have been far more clear to me, but it didn't come to me in the moment. And this is it. So and it's recent. So when Leafs were playing Washington first year, I believe that was Matthew's second year in the league. Anyways, they weren't supposed to make the
Mhm.
playoffs, and they did. Anyway, so my boys, we didn't have tickets. So my boys were at that time were teenagers. They wanted to go down to Maple Leaf Square, so we went down. There was no tickets for it then. You just kind of waited in line, and
Yep.
we went down. I ended up anyway, long story short, I ended up winning like $100 gift certificate for this thing. You had to shoot a paint, had to shoot a road hockey ball into a paint can. Anyways, and my boys were like, "That's incredible." I'm like, "Yeah, no big deal." Anyways, then we're waiting. We end up catching a T-shirt while we're waiting before the game. Open it up, and there's a pair of tickets for the game inside of it.
Jeez.
So we end up selling the tickets. I said to my boys, "What are we gonna do? You guys go in." And they're like, "No, no." So anyway, ultimately, I said, "Look, guys, we go into the game. One of two of us go in, and you can either, and they might win, they might lose. But we came down here to watch out here, so we ended up selling it. We made like about $250 a person between the three of us, and they ended up winning in overtime. That is absolutely my best Leaf moment of all time.
That was a good
And I
one
have
too. I
video
think
of
that
all.
was Bozak that scored in overtime that one.
You're right. You're
Yes, yes.
correct.
Yeah.
You're correct. Yeah. But yeah. Anyways, guys, as far as tonight's game goes, yeah, let's just check it off into the the trash. And I think I don't. I was kind of expecting them to kind of mail it in tonight. It's kind of a Leaf thing to do because they've strung together some decent
I
wins
agree.
recently against some tough opponents, and then we get a lesser opponent, so they take their foot off the gas. And I don't think it's just necessarily a Leaf thing. It's just a human nature thing, right? Like, okay, the pressure's a little off, and sometimes this kind of stuff happens. But I mean, as you guys pointed out, though, it also happened in Florida and Tampa Bay to a certain degree,
Yeah.
especially Florida. Like Florida, I think they
Right.
lost like 6-3 or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey guys, I got another question for you. If you have time, Nick, again, I'm looking at you. If you want to go, let me know. But I have a question related to
We are good.
Okay. So with Washington, the way they're playing right now, I'm sure I'm not in the minority here of people that really weren't expecting the Capitals to be the team they are this year. But the fact that they are able to they've kind of run like roughshod around the Eastern Conference this year. I'm just wondering, like, what are you guys' thoughts on them of making a deep playoff run this year? Because they look, as much as I thought it would kind of, earlier on the season, I thought it would kind of fall off the rails a little bit for them, and it hasn't. They've just kept continuing to like gain momentum, and I think they've already clinched, right? I think they're the first
Oh, yeah.
team to clinch the playoff spot.
Yeah.
They're over 100 points already. Is that correct? Am I right in that? No,
Yeah, they are.
can't be
Yeah,
over
they
100.
definitely
Okay.
are.
They are?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, what are you guys' thoughts on them making a deep run and the potential for anyone out there that happened to pick Washington to make a deep run in the playoffs? Good for you if you're a bet. But what are you guys' thoughts on them making a deep run, and what do you think the potential of them doing some serious damage in the playoffs?
Star
Yeah.
first. Also, I'm gonna shout out Austin Matthews' first game, the 4 goals. That was one of the memories for me. Regardless,
Oh, that was a good one too. Yeah.
And for some reason, Matthew Nyes last year, I think it was David Pasternak laughing in his face because I was actually in Toronto when that happened. And
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
it was
Oh, wow.
even though it was recent, that was just I remember that moment. Even though that series quickly took a turn. Capitals are scary good, and I don't think we did our predictions in the live stream before the season started. I don't know if we had the Capitals very high on our board. I don't remember speaking about them too much.
So.
I think the scariest thing is randomly the Logan Thompson season that he's having, because obviously you need a good goaltender to carry you through the playoffs. He's been nuts. And then, of course, you have, I mean, they have a bunch of players. Darius, I'm very curious to see what your thoughts are. This we talked about this a little bit off camera. I think they're just deep. And they have so many, even like Pierre-Luc Dubois is having a fantastic season all of a sudden. Like, that is what makes the difference between a team that is, mid, could be good, to a team that's really good. Is Logan Thompson having a fantastic year, Pierre-Luc Dubois having a fantastic year, and then all their other guys. So I don't know. It was, I think the Pierre-Luc Dubois thing came out of nowhere, especially because he's been passed around through so many teams and has really not been great. And now he comes on to Washington, and him and Logan Thompson are having the year.
Yeah, I think they are up to 102 points on the year now. I did not predict them to even maybe make the playoffs, like maybe squeeze into the playoffs, and
Right.
here they are. Just because of the roster, like the personnel and what happened last year with them, and just kind of the direction that they were going. But they have all, and I think the reason why they're winning and playing so well, and why they're going to be a tough out in the playoffs. I don't know if they're going to necessarily be like the most explosive team in the playoffs, but they're going to be a tough out, is because of, first of all, the goaltending. Second of all, they're heavy. They play so heavy, and it obviously has to do with Tom Wilson, but it's everyone. Ovi will knock you down, right? Like Protoss is a heavy player. They're a very, very heavy team, and they've all bought in. Every single guy has bought into what they're doing, and Spencer Carberry, who's the head coach, who was an assistant coach with the Leafs a couple of years ago, they've all bought into the system, and they barely made any moves at the deadline. Like, they didn't go out and get a huge, acquisition, because they didn't need to. So I feel like that's why they're going to be dangerous, where it's like, this is our group. We've been together all year. Let's, us against the world kind of thing. And that's what I think wins championships sometimes, when everyone comes together and they're on the same page. So that's what I see from them. And I think they're going to be, I'm hesitant to choose them to go to like the final, or even, the final four, like the conference final. But honestly, I feel like they're a heavier and harder team to play against than when they won the Stanley Cup. Like, it's going to be crazy this year.
Yeah, I think that's a great argument, to be honest, because I don't think they're going to make a decent conference final, but I'll be shocked if they don't make it to the second round. And I think they're going to cause some serious damage to whoever they do. As you said, they're big, heavy, kind of old school built team. Yep. And it's interesting going into the season. I didn't predict them to do anything, but it's funny how the season has gone. Is that they've got a lot of veterans, and they're a team that's kind of built not in the new school way. So it's interesting to see that where Washington has succeeded. Boston went into this season probably thinking that this would be their last hurrah. In fact, Boston probably expected to have the season that Washington's having this year, and yet they obviously went two completely different directions. And because I remember there was talk at the end of last season that how many seasons is Ovechkin going to stick around for? He's going to need, because given that Washington's going to take a huge dip, he's going to need at least two seasons to break Gretzky's record. And here he's on the precipice, almost looking like he could do it this year, which is absolutely crazy, right? Hey, just, on a side to that, guys, do you guys plan on having a I imagine you guys are doing like a playoff preview kind of thing. I imagine you are, because that would be absolutely amazing. I'm looking forward to that.
Yeah, we'll probably do it in a stream format. Is most likely. Probably go live before the playoffs start and do something like that and get everybody's thoughts. Maybe like a playoff bracket or something could be cool.
I think there's going to be a couple-day break between their last game and when the playoffs start. So we'll probably have some time in there to kind of. Well, we'll probably stream one of those days, but we'll let everyone know ahead of time.
Yeah. Hey, guys, again, if you guys are hard on time, I just have one more thing. It's pretty quick, actually.
You're good.
Are we okay for time here? Yeah, yep. Nick?
Yep.
Okay. So with Lawton, obviously he's gone, he's had a tough go so far, and I think the pressure continues to mount. I felt so bad for him tonight. I think when that goal kind of went off at a high stick with him tonight, and the goal was disallowed, he could see on his face that he knew it wasn't good. But if there was ever like a goal that I kind of was hoping for, just for his sake, was going to go his way, that was it. Because you can see he's kind of wearing it these days, and Toronto is not an easy place for. To be when your struggles are put on headlines, right? So I really feel for him, guys. And I don't know. I don't know. I think he looks more comfortable, but I think unfortunately the Leafs and the organization and probably us as a fan base are gonna have to realize that you can't win every trade, and sometimes I'm not writing him off or anything, but maybe he's just, not the player we thought we were getting. And down the road, perhaps in the playoffs, if he comes through and has some big moments, then maybe that can justify the trade. But right now, yeah, I think it's fair to say that we didn't win that one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, team low 9 minutes tonight, which is not what you want to see for a first round pick and Nikita Urbankin. Yeah. I don't think, to be honest, like the scary part is you could kind of see it if you watched, and there was a lot of fans out there, not necessarily Leafs fans, but just fans in general. Like he wasn't playing great in Philly either, and he obviously got relegated to the wing, wasn't playing great. He has been worse with Toronto, but even looking at his advanced metrics, all these different things, hopefully he can perform in the playoffs. I think that's where his value is going to become to help lengthen this team, but it's not like he was super great with Philadelphia over the past stretch of games before he got traded anyways. So I'm not too surprised. I'm surprised about how bad he has been, but at the end of the day, the market was extremely steep. Like, I don't think he goes for a first round pick in previous years. Again, last year, I keep using this example. Sean Monahan, who was having a great year for the Habs last season, was traded for a first, and that was seemed like a steep price to the Jets. And Tyler Toffoli wouldn't get you a first last year. We wasn't getting I think the Devils would have been, whoever it was, wasn't getting a first. And then this year you're getting equivalent of a first and whatever you want to, call Gurbankin a third or whatever it ends up being a fourth. Right. So it's just the way the market went. And I do think Scott Laughton will play better, but he wasn't necessarily this insane player before he came over. I think it's just kind of who he is, but it's worse now because there's a lot more spotlight and he's played really bad.
Yeah.
And too, Nick, sorry guys, I just think too, like if you look at the team he was playing on in Philly, if you're looking average or less than on a team that's not great, then going to a team that has a lot of speed, a lot of skill, it's not going to help that, right? So I think too, as far as like what we traded for him, I think that was dictated 100% by the market, not necessarily as much by the player. Leafs were trying to fill a role that they've been looking for all year, and obviously the market dictated that it was going to be an expensive ad, right? And they rolled the dice, and I'm again, guys, I'm still not writing it off here, but I think in that trade, we may not have won that one early, but I'm hoping we can win it late. Carlo, I think, is a Carlo. I think again, he's a guy that I think he's kind of settling in. I like his game for the most part. And I think he's going to be a quality ad come the playoffs as well. Guys, I think too, I just want to add I think that second line who I was praising up and down with JT and McMahon and Willie. Yeah, I think they had a really good night tonight. I think they did. JT obviously looked great on his own, but McMahon, I think if you remember back to like when players that come back into the league, I think sometimes like when people are playing Toronto, they look at it and they expect. Now they know what they're going to get with Willie and Marner and Austin Matthews. But when you throw a guy like McMahon on the wing, given his what I'll call sneaky speed, so I don't think people realize how fast he is. So it tends to like really throw a wrench into defending him, and they'll figure that out along. But like, I think it's a quality ad. I still really like it, even though tonight wasn't a great night all around. But I think that line still looks amazing. I'll be shocked if it gets split up the next one. The whole as another side is the whole the David Camp and Yarncroft stuff. These guys are all just kind of like I love David Camp. Like, I know he didn't have a great night tonight. I do like it because he's serviceable in what he brings. He's not going to score a lot of goals, but generally speaking, he's not going to cause a lot of goals to be scored against you either. My issue with tonight, though, was that third line again tonight. As much as they've had some offense recently, they are getting stuck in our end for way too long, far too often. And I think that is something that could be badly exposed when the playoffs begin. Because Robertson and Domi and was it Holmberg?
Yep. Berg's on the wing. Yep.
Yeah. And yeah. I mean, there was times they were out there for almost a minute 45 stuck in our end once, and that stuff is going to absolutely get exploited in the playoffs, guys. I'm not sure what the Leafs can do at this point, but I just want to know, like, if you have any thoughts on that, and just what what the Leafs can do moving forward, because obviously, that sort of defensively inconsistency is not going to be helpful when, things get tightened up in the playoffs.
No, and to some of your points earlier, I think Lawton is probably going to stay on the fourth line for now, because the rest of the lineup kind of makes sense with him there, if that makes sense. Like you can't put him on a different line if the second line's going, right? Or if the third line's going, you can't mess up that chemistry. So I feel like he stays there for now. Whether you win or lose the trade is yet to be seen. I think I want to see him in the playoffs still and kind of what he can do, because I like this fourth line a lot better without Ryan Reeves on it. I'll tell you that, because they're actually creating scoring chances. So we'll see what they do in the playoffs.
You've come around.
But yeah, finally. No, but in terms of the third line, something I was thinking about earlier today, because I was like, what did the Leafs do here? Because McMahon has played well on that third line at times, but it just feels like he's a different player on the second line. He should be there in the playoffs. So what do they do with the third line?
Mm-hmm.
There is no salary cap in the playoffs, so I wonder if Holmberg comes out and Pacioretty is the left wing on the third line in the playoffs until he is injured again. I don't want to, put that out there, but I mean, he's been injured quite a bit this year. But until something happens or if he's not playing well, I wonder if he gets into there instead of Holmberg, because I think Holmberg's a very smart player. I just don't know if he can play that role, and sometimes he makes some weird decisions. He can't get the puck out, stuff like that. So like there was a couple times tonight I saw at the line he can't get the puck out, right? Whereas Pacioretty will go right through a defenseman. So we'll see what the plan is. I don't think he can get into a game until the playoffs because of the salary cap. So I don't know exactly what's going to happen down the stretch, but I think they'll keep fiddling with things. But I do know that I like that second line. That's what I do know.
Guy, I want to add to this. You mentioned Pacioretty.
Yeah.
Now, I'm no hockey insider, any of that kind of stuff. But just as an interesting aside, I happened to be at the Ford Performance Center, which is the Leafs practice rink, 2 days ago, early in the morning, because I had a meeting there, and I guess who I ran into coming off the ice was Max Pacioretty.
What did he tell you, Jim?
So. He didn't. I don't know, Max. I have no inside information, but I know that he did a full workout. Yeah. And I said hi, and I just said, "Hey, how are you doing?" And I introduced myself, and I said, "Yeah, how are you feeling?" And he says, "Great." And that was about it. So, and I'm like, "Yeah." He goes, "Playoffs?" He goes, "Absolutely." So I think and so listen, I'm not trying to be like that guy that says, and this is totally an absolute fluke, guys. But yeah, so I think it's all salary cap. And the fact that and by the way, guys, I'm not a small guy. I'm like 6'2". He's a big man. He's a very big man. But yeah, I think going into playoffs, guys, I think he's going to be a hell of an addition. And it's almost like he's been out so long, you kind of forgot what he brought. But when healthy, he definitely brings like a physical edge. And that third line would be, wow, with him on it would add, because you saw early on in the year that when he was forechecking and hitting the way he did, it definitely added, like the defensemen were backing off. They were coughing up pucks a little quicker because he's a guy that will, obviously throw the body, but, he's been, he'll actually throw fists to back that up if necessary. And so I think, I'm pumping myself for the playoffs now.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, I think that's it for me. I've done enough. I didn't run into any other players other than in the chat the other night. So
yeah, same. Yeah, that's the only interaction I've had with the Leafs this year, I think, in terms of player personnel in the chat when they're on the plane. So we'll see.
Absolutely.
Fortunately, they couldn't make it tonight. Maybe they're watching a movie. I don't know, but
that's too bad. Oh well, yeah. I was kind of hoping we could get Ovie in here at some point, because I really like some inside information on how that feels. And you know what, guys, I know I'm sure you guys want to go here, but I just do want to touch quickly on that Ovie on the Gretzky record race, if you guys have a sec.
Sure.
Yeah.
And I just as a guy that grew up watching Gretzky, I watched that whole the Edmonton and how many cups they were winning. Prior to that, I mean, there was the Islanders. We had Detroit had a dynasty. I'm just wondering, like, with all the stuff going on with Ovi and the potential for him to overcome a record of Gretzky's, that honestly I never thought would ever be any of his records be broken. In the modern NHL, there are no more dynasties. So I'm just wondering, like, what do you think the chances of Florida winning a cup again this year are? And if so, are they a potential? Because I think in the new NHL, if you win 2 cups in a row, that is a dynasty. in the new NHL. I think, and there's only been a handful of teams that have done it. Tampa did it one year. Pitt did it, I think.
Pittsburgh, yep. Pittsburgh, yeah.
And must have been another one.
Chicago,
Anyways,
they never won back to back, but that was definitely a
no, they
dynasty.
went back to back. Yeah, that was for sure. But yeah, anyways, what do you guys thought? If Florida can win another cup, or even make it to a final this year, is that the making of a new age dynasty?
I think it's very close. So Tampa, I would definitely classify as a dynasty, even though they only won 2. And I know, it used to be maybe 3 or 4 you would classify as a dynasty, but they made it back to another Stanley Cup final and they lost. So Florida, makes it back to the final. That's 3 in a row, even though they only won 1, right? They're in the mix all the time. The summers are very short for them. You're banged up all the time. You're dealing with injuries. You're seeing it right now. They have a couple guys out due to injury. Obviously Ekblad's out, for suspension too. He doesn't return until I think game 3 of the playoffs. So I would, because things are different now. It's much harder to win and there's a lot more parity. And just to touch on the Ovi thing that you brought up too, just because I'm a little younger, like I grew up watching him and he's about to be the best goal scorer quite literally of all time, right? In the history of the game.
Right.
So I think that he inspired like a lot of people my age, maybe a little bit older, a little bit younger too, to like want to be like him. Like everybody growing up was jumping into the glass in their celebration and stuff like that. So for him to, be creeping up on this record, I think it's fantastic. And obviously Gretzky's one of the best players of all time. That's not going to change, right? But he's honestly, I think he inspired this whole new generation that's coming up right now. He was the guy, and Sidney Crosby too, but they were different players. Like Ovechkin at the time was just so electric. It was just a different caliber of hockey. But I'm like him winning the Stanley Cup was one of the times where when he lifted the cup, I was like, wow, like that is something there, right? Like, and I didn't really get that with some other teams winning the cup. So when he lifted the cup, I was like, that's cool. That's really cool. So I'm going to be excited to see him break that record. And it could be this year. Like he only needs 8, I think, at this point, 7.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Well, and 2, right? Because you look at like the history of the game, like when you look at like how Ovi matured through the league at the same time as Crosby, like it couldn't, like that was like an incredible. Like, I think they were one draft after the other, if I remember correctly, and then they were diametrically kind of opposed. And then who was better kind of thing, right? And then it's absolutely incredible. And so to see this come to what it is, he's a very, I personally really like him. He's never, as a competitor, as a player, I've always respected him. But I just think off the ice stuff, he's really funny, pretty peculiar, interesting guy, quick character. Years ago when they won the cup in Washington, like there was some stories that were going around about the quote summer of Ovi, which is basically that guy was just partying the entire summer with the cup. like it was, I'm surprised he even I tried that guy, he even got into a weight room during the off season.
They said he didn't. And then when he reported to camp, they're like, no disrespect, but you quite literally didn't. Like you didn't work out at all.
Yeah, because he came in when he came in, they do they do all the fitness, the regs, right? So when he came in, he literally had he had like a bit of a belly from drinking. So, anyways, I love him. I just think it just adds even more to like the hockey lore. But anyways, guys, I'm shocked that Gretzky's record would be broken, because back in the day, man, when that was happening, like we were watching, like this is once ever, and now to have this happen, it's special. It feels amazing, and it's really good for the sport. I'm always big on growing the sport, and anything that gets more eyes on the NHL is good for everything, right? So, it's amazing, and I think as much as I want my Leafs to make it all the way to the final, there's so many other good stories around that often will that can help grow this game too. But they all take a back seat to Toronto winning a cup this year for me. So
That would be best case scenario. That would be awesome.
Yeah. Anyways, guys, I've rambled on long enough. I can see it in Nick's face. Nick's like, okay, I've had enough. All right, guys, you guys have a good night. It's always a pleasure. All my buddies in the chat, I hope you're having a good night. And don't worry, boys, we'll get them next time. Darius, Nick, have a great evening, guys. Thanks.
As always, thank you, Jim. Have a great night.
Shout out to Jim for turning my energy, turning my negativity into positivity. Turning negativity into positivity. One more quick caller, so I'll get him in very quick before I wrap up. We'll keep it quick because I do have to run here shortly. But let's get him in here first. I don't know exactly who it is, so let's find out. All right, caller. I don't have this number memorized, so can you introduce who you are? Ryan, how you doing? Not bad, not bad. Yep, go for it.
It can succeed in like high pressure moments. And then part two to my question, like for this offseason, just like, just an offseason question. What do you think of getting guys like, I'm thinking 3 guys in mind, Sam Bennett, like Brock Besser, and like a guy like Kiefer Sherwood. So Bennett and Sherwood would obviously be for like that bottom 6, like physicality, and they can score a bit. And then Besser would be, just like extra scoring.
First part of your question, I don't know if there's anything you can do at this point, to be honest. We've ran this back so many times. The players just literally have to do it. It's a mental switch to me that even Ovie went through as an example. He just didn't know how to play the game right, especially in the playoffs. And then finally, a switch just flipped. He was playing more responsible, and they ended up winning a Stanley Cup. So that flip, it just has to, it just has to flip. So I don't know what it is, nothing in particular, but if they don't figure it out this playoffs, I should say, they're going to figure it out in the offseason by letting Mitch Marner walk, and then in freeing up that much salary and Tavares getting less salary. We don't know what's happening with Nyes, but as a result of that, love Sam Bennett. If you would want to come, like if he wants to sign here, he's from here too, right? Like you take a look at that. He's a player you can definitely win with. He plays the right way. Brock Besser, I would imagine, makes less because he's getting older. He would be a good scoring threat, second line option. He's a right shot as well, so that would be great. And I like the idea of, I didn't even think of Sherwood. That's a great idea. He just set the record for hits like today in
that's
NHL
what
history.
I'm thinking.
So that's a great idea. I haven't even thought about him. Maybe like a third line role. That'd be great, because I do think they need to retool some things. But honestly, I don't know what it is specifically. But if they don't figure it out, I'll tell you this: in the first round or the second round this year, there will be change finally this year.
Exactly, yeah. I was also thinking like Yanni Gourde too, because he's just been lighting it up with the Lightning. And if you could get him like reasonable like price, I wouldn't mind him, because he kind of plays like Bennett, obviously probably less points, but just guys like that, and you put them in the bottom 6, I think it would be really good, and replace like Camp and those guys. Because I think the problem is like Camp and Holmberg, like they get pushed off the puck too easily, and I hate to say it, but you can't have that come playoff time, So I don't know.
Yeah, especially Pontus.
Yes. Yeah.
Exactly. So
Ryan, thank you for the call-in. It was a pleasure, and have a new caller. So hopefully you can call in again in the future, and some good names there. Have a great night.
See you.
Thank you.
All right, shout out to Ryan, first time.
It was actually a good idea with Sherwood there. He set the record for hits. I couldn't believe that. I can't believe that. I mean, they must have not recorded hits before 1990 at that point, because there's no way. But it's not a bad idea.
Shout out to Ryan for the call-in. Let's go. All right, ladies and gentlemen, gonna wrap it up there. Jim, thank you for calling in. Everybody who tuned in for the entire stream, almost an hour long and a loss. We'd love to see it. My energy is back, and I'm gonna thank Jim for that. I feel like the loss never even happened. We will have a video for you all tomorrow, so make sure to stay tuned for that. Your guys' support has been fantastic. Everyone who stayed tuned all the way through: Jose, Nick, Jim, Sam, Joshua, everyone who got gifted a membership, Daniel as well, Prophet, everybody. Thank you guys and Robert for the donation earlier. Thank you guys for your continued support. And we will do our 3 stars very quickly before wrapping up in rapid fire, because it was a horrible game. I'm going to go the same order as the impact score chart here, with Marner, Tavares, and Matthews. I think that's probably the best way to go here.
I'm going to go Tavares number 1, OEL number 2,
okay,
Mitch Marner number 3. I'll go with that.
There it is. All right, ladies and gentlemen, have a fantastic night. Again, a video coming for you all tomorrow. We're with you all the step of the way. The Leafs play on, I believe, Monday and Tuesday with a back-to-back. So it's going to be a wild next few days. Stay tuned. We'll see you guys in the video tomorrow.
Leafs Digest, your daily dose of gold. Stories of the bold where legends are told. From first puck drop to the season's full.